Have fun, everybody, as always.
Hello, everybody. This is Paul Blodgett from New Jersey. Very glad to be on with you guys tonight. I have my own goalkeeper school here in Jersey, and I coach with the College of Jersey women's team. We did make it to the finals. We lost to Christopher Newport in the national championship, so it was a lot of fun this year. And very nice. My goalkeeper was an All-American, so it kind of made for a little frosting on the cake, even though we didn't get to win the championships. But very glad to be here. Very excited about this topic. And I'm here with Michael Zalzig, who's with Carnegie Mellon, outstanding goalkeeper coach and a wonderful guy. And he's the one that sets up pretty much all the PowerPoint that you see. He has that great expertise. And we worked together in January on a project with the college selection and that kind of thing. And Mike and I really enjoyed working well together. So we're teamed up again here for you guys. And like Eric said, unfortunately, Saskia's not going to be here right now. She's with an IB clinic at UCLA. But I coached Saskia back when she was at Rutgers, and she was a tremendous goalkeeper, a wonderful, wonderful person, and unbelievably knowledgeable about the position. And she's played the game at the highest level, won a World Cup. So like Eric said, if you guys want to stay on so you can listen to her a little bit, she knows her stuff. And I know she was very disappointed she couldn't be this part of the presentation. But we're talking tonight about a goalkeeper's role in possession. This has become very prominent part of our game right now. It's not just so much we have to keep the ball out of the net anymore. It's very important for us to be able to keep the ball in play, move it around, not give the ball up, not to lose possession from the ball by making mental mistakes or tactical mistakes. So, matter of fact, the whole month is dedicated to the GK's role in the game, the different phases of the game. And we had 4 phases of the game. You got the other slide there, Mike?
Yep.
Okay,
We're
so
there now.
The GK's role in possession. And you see the 4 phases of the game. The one we're talking about tonight is when the goalkeeper, the team has possession of the ball. What is our roles? Then coming up in following sessions will be, with the goalkeeper's role in while defending, and then the goalkeeper's role where it rolls over from attack to defense, and finally from when we go from defense to attack. And once again, our role is the GK's role in possession, and it involves with the transitional moments of the game. So I want to throw that word out to you guys real quickly. Who wants to come up with a definition or help us understand what the word transition moment is in the game? Anybody help us out there? What happens in transition? Anybody?
The ball goes from offense to defense or defense to offense.
Very good. That's definitely one of the things. Transition is when the ball turns over. Now, we want to add in a couple other transitional moments for you guys to think about. Why are restarts considered a transitional part of the game? Anybody? Why would a restart? First of all, what is a restart? Give me an example of a restart.
Like a free kick or a throw-in.
Okay, throw-in,
Absolutely.
free kick, very good. What types of kicks? What types of free kicks?
PKs, maybe?
All right, very good. Yeah, PK is definitely a transitional moment. That's a lot of times where, our team, our defense breaks down because we might make a save, the ball rolls out, the other team's a little sharper there, and they come in and score on a rebound. What's another restart?
Corner kick.
Very good. Corner kick, big one. Okay, big one. Okay, so those are some of the examples of restart. But now on your slide, you see underneath restart, it says when the ball is in the air. Guys, read that. Up and down for yes. Okay, cool. And the other one is when the ball is moving between players. So what do you mean? What do we think we mean by the ball is in the air, right? Very good. What else? Think what happens in the cross to say one of our backs heads the ball. Where's the ball now if they head it? If your defender heads the ball in front of you, where is the ball? In the air, on the ground, on their head? Where is it?
In the air.
In the air. Okay, so is anybody touching the ball at that moment when it's in the air? No. You understand that then? That's a transitional moment. Have you guys ever been in a game where you had a corner kick and you yell away, one of your backs heads the ball up in the air, and then the rest of your team goes flat, but the other team stays sharp and you get the ball and they score on the rebound or on the headed ball out? Okay, that's something that's very, very important. That's what we mean when the ball's in the air. It's a transitional moment, but we have to stay within that moment. All right, what about when the ball is moving between players? What do you think that means?
Like on a 50-50 ball.
Okay, yeah, very good, very good. Okay, think about when the ball is being passed around between you and your backs. When is the ball moving between players? When you do what? After you do what?
Pass.
Yes, exactly. After you pass the ball. Very good. You guys are coming up with all the right answers. That's good. That means you're going to be understanding what we want to cover here tonight. Okay, so those are transitional moments, and those are times we have to be really sharp. Okay, underneath the transitional moment, the last part of this slide is, as a GK, can you read the game? Can you see ahead? Okay, what do you think we mean by that? What do we want you to do in reading the game? Let's say we're in possession, okay? As the ball's moving around, what should you be doing in your head?
Thinking of plays that you're
Anticipating the play.
Very good. Anticipation, great word. Absolutely great word, okay? And by anticipating, you're trying to see ahead, all right? So one of the things that bothers me personally, when I go driving around on a Saturday or Sunday and I'm watching, and I happen to see a youth game going on, and it's mostly with the youngest ages, of course, but you got the whole team is up in the other end of the field. You have the goalkeeper whose team has the ball sitting way back in the goal all by themselves. And they look lonely. They don't look like part of the team. They're not really being involved in the game. So we're going to talk about the importance of you guys, your positioning to help you stay within the game as well. Okay, everybody with us so far? You guys are doing a great job. You guys are coming up with all the right answers. I love it. All right, on to slide 3.
And so before we jump over, I'm just going to jump in real quick, Paul.
Sure.
And guys, what we want you to understand is right now, like we said, our topic tonight is about in possession, but you have to understand in a moment, in the flash, in the blink of an eye, that all of a sudden you might have to make a quick decision in possession or you might lose it. And so everything is going to be interconnected. And we're always going to bring it back to that moment where the ball's at our feet or our team has possession and what you're doing to support that. But like we said, we need to hit on transitional moments a little bit now, and we'll do that a little bit later, just with that in mind, that we have possession and what happens if we lose it or the moment we gain it, because those are transitional moments. And that's where, well, like I said, we'll elaborate a little bit more. So moving on here to our next slide.
Hey, Michael, you want to hit this one?
Sure. Yeah. So the next thing we want to talk about, if you guys remember, and some of you have been with us since the beginning, and I remember way back when, and we talk about the 4 pillars of player development. And nowadays, some people might say there's 5, and you might add social in there. But just to recap, and we kind of want to move through these, but just a quick little review here. Somebody tell me, what's the technical side of the game? What do we mean by the technical side of the game?
dribbling.
Say that again.
Dribbling.
Okay. Give me another one.
Like skill moves.
Yeah. And so it's very good. As a goalkeeper, that could be a collapse dive. That could be your distribution. You pick any form of distribution. That could be how you receive the ball in the air, whether that's with your feet or with your hands. So that's a technical side. What's the tactical side to everybody? What does that mean? When we talk about, we got to learn more about the tactical side. What are we talking about there?
Like the movement of the ball.
Could be the movement of the ball. Yeah, I love that. What else could that be? Who else's movement, for example, could that be?
Team
Move it at the back
dynamics.
line.
Oh, love that. It could be the back line. It could be your attacking players. It could be sporting angles as a goalkeeper. Well done. Like we said, feel free to throw out answers because we want this to be interactive. What about the physical side? What does it mean if we say we're looking at somebody's physical side of the game? What does that mean?
Their speed.
Yeah, it could be speed. It could be strength. It could be size. And the reason that we're going through all of these is because these are going to vary for all of you right now, and they're going to vary as you get older. And these are things that we want you to take into consideration as you play. And then the last side, which I'll hit on for a minute, and actually is going to be a lot of the focus tonight for Coach Paul and I, is kind of the psychological side or that mentality. And can we have the right mentality and connect that to the tactical side of the game? So ultimately, we want to minimize mistakes technically. And that's one of those things where we talk about it. We love, both Coach Paul and I, for example, love our goalkeepers in training, hopping in the rondos, working on their feet. Because in the modern game, as a goalkeeper, you use your feet 7 more times than you do your hands. And that also impacts our distribution, which also impacts our ability to keep possession. Obviously, studying, enhancing knowledge. So this is our tactical side of the game. One of the big things that Coach Paul and I want to encourage you all to do is watch the game. Watch the men's game, watch the women's game, watch the national team, watch the Bundesliga, watch La Liga, watch the Premier League, watch college soccer. Please come watch college soccer. And both Coach Paul and I were very fortunate to be in the NCAA tournament this year. And we're about 1 game away from playing each other too, which would have probably made tonight a little bit even more interesting. So, and once again, because you can learn, what do goalkeepers at the highest level do? There's always something you can learn. And like we said, that psychological side is maintaining focus. And that's something we're going to talk about a little bit again, is maintaining focus. But before I go on, why do you think concentration, why do you think focus so critical as a goalkeeper? And I would tell you it's probably more important as a goalkeeper than any other position.
Because like something could happen quickly.
Yeah, I love that. That's a great thought there. That's coming right back to that idea of those transition moments when we're in possession. And you have to stay locked in, because also as a goalkeeper, you're communicating with your team, you're moving. There's a lot that happens. So we're going to slide on here and keep sliding on. Paul, do you want to take the next one? Or do you want me to keep going?
Yeah, if you can take it for a second, please.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. So guys, like we said, we just want to hit on the technical side. And so all of you have access to this PowerPoint when we're done. And on here, you're going to see, we have a bunch of videos as well. And we'll get to those in a minute. And we're not going to show you the videos, but we have this as a resource for you and your parents. So for all of you who are trying to improve your distribution, as you go down a little bit later, you can see under foot skills, passing with both feet, there's being the ability to pass with the inside of your foot. So somebody give me an idea of a distance. If we're going to pass with the inside of our foot, what do you think about how many yards do you think we're passing to somebody?
5, 10.
Yeah, love that.
Very
Maybe
good.
maybe 15 might be under pressure. What if we're going to lace it? What if we're going to really put our foot through it and lace it? Now, what type of distance are we looking at?
15, 20.
Yeah, love that. Well done. And it's going to be 15, 20, maybe 25. Maybe we go in step if we're short and build on a goal kick, and we're going to go to our center back. Now we got to lace it. Maybe we're going to an outside back. Obviously, a driven ball. You all know that. And that's going to come off the ground. And that's a moment where we're probably trying to bypass the center back and go to an outside back. So can we break a line? And then the last one, usually a loft the ball, comes in those moments of we're clearing it. We're under pressure. We put it up in the air, and it becomes a little bit more of a 50-50. So that's the last thing. But there's little videos here that we've incorporated for you guys. If you want to learn more about the technique and how to improve these skills with both of your feet, please click on these. That includes the bowling, the overhand and windmill throw, which we have video on later, the importance of the ability to throw. Obviously, we have dribbling, but obviously with dribbling, we're not looking for Messi or Ronaldo. We're looking for you to take space quickly, efficiently, do it in 1, 2, or 3 touches. And then ultimately, can we break a line or move the ball? We obviously have in here, which comes into that physical side that we connect back, is that footwork. What is your mobility, your quickness, your speed? And then what we ultimately believe is most important is the scanning of the field. And can you be scanning, taking snapshots, taking pictures so that you can see what's happening, especially in possession, so that you know where could there be danger, where can we potentially break lines, where can we build to go from the defensive third to the middle third to the final third. Okay. And like
Michael.
we said here too.
Michael, if I may
go
add
ahead,
in
Paul.
here,
Yeah,
when we
jump in.
talked about inside the foot pass and lacing the ball, that could also depend on the surface that you're playing on. If you're playing on grass, it might be a little thick, and inside the foot pass, even though it's over 15 yards, might not work, or 10 yards might not work. So you have to understand the surface that you're playing on. This is very important. And also, even on turf, when it's wet, the ball is going to react differently, as I'm sure you all know. So let me ask you guys a question too, if I may. We're not going to go into obviously all the details of the technical ability, but what can you guys do yourselves to help improve your technical abilities on your own? What can you do?
Practice.
Say again?
Practice.
Practice? Yes. Okay. What can you use to help practice on your own?
A wall.
Yes, very good. Very, very good. I don't think we respect enough for the fact of importance of hitting off a wall. Little quick story. I was never trained as a goalkeeper. I just taught myself. I never really played until I was 25. And I was teaching at the time. And I went to the gym, they had the doors closed down for the wrestling on one side and basketball on the other side. And they had the wrestling mats on. Every day after school, I went in there and just kicked the ball off the wall to work my skills. But that's how I learned how to catch everything else, but I just hit the ball myself. So the wall is extremely valuable for you to work on all your touches, whether you're learning to volley, half volley, driven balls, lace balls, inside of the foot, all your touches. So you got to do that on your own. And I know Coach Mike and myself, and I know Saskia would say exactly the same thing, is that what you learn in your training sessions, if that's all you do is try to learn something in a training session and you don't take it and work it on your own, you're never going to reach your potential, or it's going to take you longer to reach your potential. So what you guys should be doing, whatever you're working on in your training sessions, take certain parts of it and go practice it on your own. Get the technique down, because as you guys get older, and I tell this to my keepers I'm working on, I say within 5 minutes, a goalkeeper coach can tell you about your technical ability, what your technique is like, how good you are, what you need to work on in 5 minutes. Okay. So you always want to show your best when you're trying out. Eventually, when you go into colleges, because coaches are always going to come to watch you, whether it's in your training sessions or in your games. They're going to be watching you and they're going to see what your technique is. Do you make mistakes? Can you handle the ball with your feet? Do you drop the ball? Are you able to maintain possession on high balls and those kinds of things? So understand that you're always going to be watched, number one. And so you're always on stage. So always take your training seriously. When you get on between the lines, go to work. You want to have your fun. Get off the field during your water breaks, but every time you go across those lines, get serious in what your job is and work hard on your technique and work on it outside of practice. Okay. All right, Michael, what we got?
And so the one last thing I'm going to add on here, guys, real quick, is ultimately you have to have, like I said, you have to have an honest evaluation, and we're going to show you some videos. Well, right now, you might not be able to do that, but that's right now. But we're going to show you some videos for little abilities that you're going to strive for. So now we're going to go on to the tactical side. And obviously this comes down to a lot of positioning. Coach Paul, you want to jump right back in here?
Yeah, sure. I think I kind of mentioned it before when I was watching some of the youth games, how the goalkeeper stays inside right inside their 6-yard box. Let me throw you out this question. When your team has the ball in the other team's defensive third, or in other words, you're attacking third, 35 yards and in on the goal that you're attacking. So the ball's way at the other end of the field. Where do you think is a smart place for you guys to set up while you're waiting for the ball to come back your way?
A little past the 18-yard box.
Okay, good start. Good start. I would agree with that. I would even try to push yourself a little bit more, maybe like 10 yards above the D, okay, the arc. All right. So what I always suggest to keepers is get out of your comfort zone, especially when you're training or when you're scrimmaging. The games don't count. Like if you're in practice, force yourself to get higher up. Force yourself to get higher up. Okay. You can always recover in time, because I always say the ball is 100 yards away from you and you're 35 yards from goal. As the ball turns over, the ball beats you to the goal. Well, then you don't have the physical ability of getting back quickly enough. So push yourself, get used to being up there. What's the advantage of being higher and closer to your defense, you think, when the ball's in the other end?
If there's a counterattack, you can kind of be like a center back almost.
Okay, so you're in a good physical position to help with a counterattack. What else? That's a great answer.
The other team has a less time to shoot. You're kind of like rushing them almost.
Okay, I like that too. What about communication skills?
It helps you stay connected with your back line.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Here's what I always say too. If you stay back, let me ask this question. If you're staying back inside around your penalty spot, let's say, and the ball is in the other 18-yard box and your defense is up at midfield, can you just talk to your team? Do you have to yell at your team if you're that far back? If your team's in the midfield line and you're on your 6, can you just talk to them like we're talking? You got to yell. What's that?
You got to yell.
Exactly. Okay. So if you keep yelling at a certain pitch all the time, what's going to happen, you think, as far as your players listening to you?
You're gonna lose your voice and they're gonna stop listening.
Okay, you're going to lose your
Answer.
voice, but I like the second answer even better because you know the old story about crying wolf, right? If you cry wolf all the time and then there's no wolf out there, then you're going to actually not listen to somebody when they actually cry wolf, and you're going to be in trouble. Right? If you always yell at your team, they hear that pitch of yelling all the time. So when you're back in your defensive third now and you want them to really mark a man or do something for you and you're yelling at the same pitch, they might not recognize the difference in your voice inflection. Does that make sense to you guys? Up and down for yes? Okay, so by the value of being closer to your team, you can talk to your backs, you can move the pieces, stay alert. And then as a ball comes back towards you, now you start raising your voice up more. And if there's now you're in the defensive box and you're in the 18 and you want them to do something, then you bark at them, you snap at them, and then they understand the difference. Does that make sense to you guys? Okay. Now, let's say the ball now is at the midfield line. The team has turned, you now have turned over, they're coming at you. Where would you position yourself if the ball is at around the midfield line now?
The 6 or the penalty line.
Okay, yeah, penalty. I would even say between the penalty and the 18. I think the 6 is too far back. Once they get past into the circle and past the circle, though, where should you go? What do you think? I'm attacking you guys right now. I just, what's that?
Like in
Where
front of your
should-
6-yard box.
There you go. Yeah, get back in your comfort zone now, right? Get closer to your goal. All right, very good. So that's what we mean by starting positions. You move up with your team, you move back with your team. You must stay connected. It's a big word, staying connected. And then, Mike, why don't you pick up on movement as a possession moves a little bit?
Yeah, well, and the big thing that I want to just remind everybody, and I think the best way, Paul, that I always talk to my group about it is our objective in the game in possession is to create numbers up scenarios. And whether we play 4v4, 5v5, 7v7, 9v9, 11v11, when the goalkeeper, when you get involved and are comfortable with your feet and have the ability to keep it, now we have the ability to create numbers up situations and a release point for our team. And it's that same idea that Coach Paul was talking about a few minutes ago. When you can step higher, you can be connected. Now you're at a release point. And that allows you, for example, as we suggested, to move as the ball moves. So the ball moves forward, you move with it. And obviously then, as we look at that, it becomes what our angles of support, what is our communication, which Coach Paul already hit on. And then ultimately it comes down to our movement, which that comes once again, connecting those pillars again. This is now that physical one again. Where is it laterally? Is it forward? Is it backward? But in this moment in possession, we want you to be connected because we want to be able to create numbers up and provide support, depth, and an opportunity to keep the ball. Because ultimately, if we give it away cheaply, we're going to run into problems. So let's see. Coach Paul. Okay, let's see. Come on, computer. There we go. And then, like we said, as much as we're talking about in possession here, we really just wanted to hit and come back to this idea that if you're not connected to your team, for example, in possession, you might allow space for the other team to exploit. If you're not up there and you can't provide communication, as Coach Paul said a moment ago, now they might not hear something. We might not be able to adjust their shape. We might not be able to adjust our attacking shape in possession. And because of that, there might be a gap, there might be a line, something can get broken. And when that happens, now we find ourselves in that quick transition moment. We don't want to spend too much time on this because this is going to be a little bit more week 3 for you guys, but it has to be in the back of our mind, especially in possession. What is our team shape? If we were to lose it right now, are we okay? And there's moments where all of a sudden, if there's an outside back that's too high or too wide, a 6 hasn't dropped in deep enough to cover. If maybe everybody's running away, we lose it. Now we're in a very, very bad place. And even though we were in possession in that moment, the moment we lost it, now we're in trouble. So we need you always thinking, that's that focus. That's that concentration. That's a communication. How do we make sure we're locked in? Always adjusting, moving our players so that if something does go wrong, we don't want to be pessimistic, but we have to think, kind of prepare for the worst. And the biggest thing that Coach Paul and I want to get across to you is that games are won and lost in those transition moments. Sure, we've got to score goals in possession, but that's where it all happens. And to give you a perspective, when I was coaching at Duquesne, so we were in the Atlantic Tennis Division I program in Pittsburgh. 1 year, 40% of our goals came in transition moments. And we found that we were giving up goals. We were in the attacking half. We were in possession. but our attacking shape was off or our goalkeeper position was off. And that allowed an opportunity for the other team to turn our possession into an opportunity for them. And as you know, that can happen in a blink of an eye. And once again, we can't say enough that communication is absolutely key. You have, just like organizing, and you can see it on here, just like organizing a team's shape when defending, you have to be aware the moment you do it. And so we want you to organize early and often, and that's offensively and defensively. And obviously more so today, we're talking about that possession. I'm going to go back to Coach Paul here because he gave me this quote the other day. I love it now. I can't wait to use it more. All about concentration.
Yeah, when I first started learning to coach goalkeeping, I relied on Dr. Joe Macknick. He was kind of like the guru goalkeeper coach at the time. And I can remember one of the quotes that he made. I kind of added on to it, but he said during a match, you'll have moments of high concentration and you'll have moments of low concentration. Moment of high concentration would be corner kick, restarts, balls in around your 18. You have to be totally zoned in. You got to be focused. You got to be communicating. You got to be very, very sharp. Moments of low concentration are when the ball's in the other end. You're not under a lot of pressure right now, but still, you got to be moving pieces. You got to be sharp. You got to be making sure nothing's going to break down. But the part I added to it, but you can never have moments of no concentration. You can't space out at all because you'll be surprised that probably, that's the moment that something's going to happen. And our game can change real quickly. We can get the ball defensively, turn it over. Now we're in possession. We can go really, really quickly. If you're not focused and you're not helping your team stay focused and you're not concentrating during those high moments and low moments, and you space out at one moment, something bad is going to happen. Something you're going to make a mistake. So keep that in mind. Okay.
Sure, guys, we're going to move it on. We got 2 more slides before we jump in the videos, and we really appreciate the conversation and the information. It's been great so far. And now, like we said, we really want to get into meat and potatoes, talk a little bit more here, and then really get into these videos because we really like the pictures that they paint. So we're going to talk in possession moments now. And we've already talked about this a little bit. This is passing the ball. And ultimately, any point we're maintaining possession. And as Coach Paul threw out earlier, you have different perspectives. Is the ball on the floor? Is it in the air? Is it traveling? And where on the field is it? And this becomes a big risk versus reward scenario. Obviously, in the defensive third, we have to be much more conscientious. Some of you might play for a club team that builds. Love it. Some of you might be a little bit more direct. There's nothing wrong with that. There's many styles to our game. And the big thing we want you to understand and ultimately get from these meetings is not only the information, but the challenge that Coach Paul gave earlier to go out and work on that technical ability so that you can do whatever your team needs in that moment. And understand whether it's in the defensive middle or final third in which you can help and support. So that's ultimately what we really like from all this and what we want you to understand. So those are big things. Passing the ball, where on the field are we? We'll see that in the videos. Next is goal kicks. Like I said, are we building? Are we going long? If we're going short, we're in possession, but we're maybe one pass away, one transition moment away from an opportunity on our own goal versus, as Coach Paul talked about a few minutes ago, if we're at midfield and we step a little higher, now all of a sudden that there's less risk because we can help support it, but no, it's further away from our goal. And that's something we want to think about. The other thing too, this is a very little point, but we wanted to mention to all of you is and consider anytime as a goalkeeper that you put the ball in the air, you've ultimately created a 50-50. And so if you're going to punt it, if you're going to have a goal kick and your team is spread out across the entire field, chances are if the other team wins possession and that transition moment happens, we might be in trouble. So when we're in possession, like I said, we need to position accordingly in case we give that up. And then obviously set pieces. Is it a quick from us? Are we going to put our hand on it and play? Is it a quick or crafty indirect free kick from us so that we're going to maintain possession? And maybe you need to push players up and support. Maybe you need to get players wide. As a goalkeeper, you're going to direct the game. Coach Paul, I know, is super critical of this, and so am I at Carnegie Mellon. Our goalkeepers need to know all of our attacking and defensive set pieces. As we're on attacking today, I'll stay on that. They must understand what we're going to try to do because that obviously they need to help communicate it and set it. Their support angles and their positioning needs to be proper because of it. If they switch off, we can run into problems there. And once again, ultimately helping prepare the team if we are to lose it from possession, what does it look like in defense? And then last, we have some additional considerations, which I'm going to let Coach Paul hop into here with you. And then we'll keep moving on and we'll get into these videos.
Okay, we're going to go through these quickly because we're going to talk about these points more in detail as you see the videos. But conditional considerations that when we are in possession is scanning the field while moving and you're supporting. And this is a big one. As you're moving to go support somebody, let's say you're out, your center back on the right side has the ball and he's going to pass it back to you. As you're moving over for support in possession, what should you be doing while you're moving? Anybody got an answer for that?
Scanning the field,
What's that?
scanning the field to look.
That's it. Well done, Emily. Proud of you. Okay, that's exactly it. And this is something that we have to do just to make, well, let me ask you this question, Emily. Why would you scan the field? What are you looking for?
For your left back to be open, so you know where you're gonna play the ball.
Excellent. Perfect. Perfect. Now, let me ask you another question now. When you go to your right back, you're scanning your field. Now you come back to your center back on the right side who has the ball. How do you ask for the ball to be played back to you? How do you ask for it?
Like, I'd say yes, play me back.
Okay. Okay. One of the words I hate is the word here, because we have 20 players on the field saying here. Right? If you go to a game, all you hear on the field, the players going here, here, here. And I never know who really wants the ball. So I always train my goalkeepers to say yes and their name, or yes and point to the part you want. Yes, left foot. Yes, right foot. Point to where you want the ball. So there's absolutely no mistake where you want the ball to be passed back to you. So that type of thing is very, very important. You have to distinguish yourself in your communication. You have to be different. We have to say things differently than they do on the field because, well, we're special, first of all, okay? And we have to do things to a point where everybody understands exactly what we want. Okay, Emily, I'm gonna pose this to you. You're doing great so far. You get the ball, now you communicate, ask for the ball back from your right center back, and you're gonna pass it over to your left center back. What do you do before you pass the ball?
Scan and ask for them to get open. Like,
Okay. Okay, before you pass the ball, you're going to communicate something then too, right? But what else would you do before you pass the ball? It's kind of the same thing you mentioned when you're going out, moving out to support your center back on the right side. You scan the field. Why would you look up again before you pass the ball to the other person?
to make sure they have no one on them.
Beautiful. That's it. Very simple. As you're running out, you scan the field. You communicate asking for the ball. Then you get your head up again. Then you communicate again, and then you pass the ball. That way you minimize your mistakes. Emily, that's fantastic. So that's why you look up after you see the ball. Keep taking pictures and snapshots of the field and to see what's on. That's whether you're playing with your hands or your feet. Now, what's the difference between quick transitions and slow transitions? What would a quick transition be called? Just say you just caught a cross and now you're going to quick transition forward. What are you actually doing? What are you starting?
A counterattack.
Very good. A counterattack. We're going to show you Tim Howard's counterattack was brilliant. Okay. All right. Once again, communication is extremely important. Game management. Okay. Very, very important. You guys got to understand the game, know the game so you can run the show. It's good to be king. It's good to be queen. Okay. So, but you got to learn. I always tell my players is that it's like playing a game of chess. You got to stay 1, 2, 3 moves ahead. So as a goalkeeper, you're always scanning the field so that when you get the ball and now we're in possession, you have already figured out 1, 2, or 3 options to go to. Saskia actually gave, when we were talking about this the other day, Saskia said that she says have her goalkeepers create a checklist of what to do. And that's exactly what we're saying. I never heard it presented like that before, but it makes a great bit of sense. You know, quarterbacks in football. Yeah.
Saskia just got on. So if I may, why don't we let her jump on, say hi, and we can even have her start right there by talking about the checklist, and then we'll keep going on.
Everybody, please say hello to Saskia Webber. Outstanding goalkeeper, tremendous person, knowledgeable, played a game at the highest level, won a World Cup. Saskia, welcome. Glad you're here. Saskia,
you're on mute.
I said, hey, glad to be here. Hi, everybody. I think I came in, I heard my name right when I came in. So what's going on?
Yeah, I'm
Where are we
psychic.
at?
Psychic, Saskia, I'm psychic. I knew you were coming. So I was just talking about the phrase you used about a checklist you have your goalkeepers go through a checklist. Why don't you explain that to these kids?
Where are we? In possession moments, continue, additional considerations, scanning the field. Yeah, I mean, you want to go through a checklist in your head. It's in every situation. Am I, I'm trying to see where we are with everything in the Zoom, but regardless of the situation, am I organizing? What's my positioning? And even if things go wrong, like there's a checklist in your head for that as well. Like, okay, like organizing your defense early. That's the first thing, pressure on the ball, positioning. And then even go as far as once you get the ball, where are you going ahead of time? So you already want to know. So if you do those checklists, then you're ahead of the game. Is that where we're at? Yeah.
Perfect.
That's perfect.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, because and I say that especially with the if you're ahead of the game in that sense, once you get the ball, you already know that your 9 is open or your 6 is open or whatever, and you're one step. Because if you have to do that once you receive the ball, that split second or those seconds taken away from your transition, it's detrimental. Now the other team can catch up, they can reposition themselves and everything like that. So if you're quicker with that, if you're already aware of what's going on, if you've already checked where your players are, if you've already organized and everything, then you can catch the other team off balance.
Perfect. Michael, what do you say we get into the videos and then we start discussing more of the stuff so the kids can see a little bit more what some of the live stuff.
Absolutely. So let me
one question, guys, that was in the chat is regarding communication. Is it okay if you were to say, you got your keeper back?
Yeah, that's fine. The thing I was trying to point out is that we can't say the same thing that everybody else says. If we just start saying here as well, nobody knows really who wants the ball, where it's supposed to go. It doesn't really matter the form of communication you do, as long as that you're making people understand exactly what you want to get done in a very simplistic way. So you can't be long-winded about it. You got to have short, quick words, motions, signals, those kinds of things, just to get it done. But yeah, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, I'm a big one with Coach Paul, everybody. I hate the word here. So we talked to our goalkeepers a lot about being clear, concise, and consistent, and put a name on it, put a direction on it, take any guesswork out of the game. So
yeah, and there's the what's the term for it? I always call it the 911 term, but you have to be clear. You have to be concise, because if you're not identifying, number one, names, players, yourself, and everything, then nobody's going to do anything. Everybody passes the buck. You can't say, go to the ball. Who's going to the ball? Get wide. Who's getting wide? Like, everything has to be precise, direct, names, big thing. So
Agreed.
It's so critical in possession, because if I'm playing the Coach Paul, or I play a ball between Coach Paul and Coach Saskia, they might freeze. I put a name on it and I say Coach Paul. That now also not only cues him in, it cues Coach Saskia that she's now going to move and adjust. And that's why that communication with your teammates is critical. So here we go, guys. We're going to jump into our first video talking about the buildup. Can everybody see my screen? Can somebody give me a thumb up? Emily, I can see your screen. Can you see all this? Okay, perfect. So right here, and like I said, we're going to paint a lot of pictures for you now moving forward. You can obviously see this is a very advanced position, something that maybe your teams don't do right now. That's okay. But we want to give you these ideas. And obviously you can see they're going from the defensive third into the middle third of the field. And you can see the black team, obviously defensively in a compact shape. You can see the red team in a very, very expansive shape. So right now the goalkeeper is going to step a little higher because the black team is playing a little bit more of a low press. So once again, you can see our red team here is playing a 4-4-2. Outside backs are incredibly high and wide, which I absolutely love. But once again, that same idea of communication, and you've got to always be ready for a transitional moment, or what is your shape and what is your number? So here we go. Goalkeeper is going to take space a little bit here. Here comes pressure. And with one ball, we play out to our outside mid. You can call this our 7-11 for some of you whose numbers. And because of that, we've broken 2 lines. And this goes back to, you think about connecting to the pillars we started with earlier. It's a technical ability and the confidence to be able to play that ball. It's also the understanding and what Coach Saskia just said about that checklist of being able to know, okay, if we get pressured here, I know that that space is open in the game. And now I'm going to utilize it. So like you said, we wanted to start simple, but obviously now these videos we absolutely love, and we're probably going to get carried away. So mind our emotions as we get way too excited about frozen pictures.
And I think really quick also here, if you freeze it, is what are you doing now, keepers? Like your job's not done. And so you have to remember that. Number one, you have to get back into position because you had brought yourself really far up the field, but your job's not done communication wise, because even though we're now in there getting into their attacking third, well, now you still have to organize your team so that defensively, if there's a breakdown, they're in the right positions and not caught out of position. And so you're constantly organizing. You're not cheering the forwards on, go or anything. You're saying, to your outside back or whatever, watch, even this guy on the bottom of the screen up here. Great, he's open. Now, if this gets turned over, you got to make sure he's on his horse getting back. All right. So that's what you have to be thinking of always. What if this breaks down? What do I need to do ahead of time if this breaks down?
And I love that point, guys, because you can also see the moment there's a little pressure on the ball, the goalkeeper's reading pressure on the ball, the goalkeeper's not off our screen in case there's that turnover that Coach Saskia just talked about. So here we go. We're going to continue to let it play. It's turned over. So now here'd be another clip from the second half, one same direction. Coach Saskia, you're going to say something there?
No.
Okay, sorry. Sometimes get a little feedback. So here you see the goalkeeper. You can see the nonverbals, everybody. You can see the 6 in the center mid. So go back to our goalkeeper. And right now, I do want to paint a little picture for all of you. For any of you who play rondos with your team, we've got an outside back. You can see my cursor. We've got a center mid. We got another attacking mid. We got our goalkeeper. We're going to step back. Right now, we've got a 5v1. Even if another defender comes in, you've got a 5v2. And this is, once again, this is a higher level. But this is a confident goalkeeper who knows, okay, we're going to be able to sort it because I can scan the field, I can see it, I can recognize where numbers up. And ultimately, can we break a line? So we look to play through. It's not on. Goalkeeper sliding, shifting. Once again, communicating. And we'll freeze it here so you can see that expansive shape again. And you can see the goalkeeper's body shape facing the ball, but has the ability to open up and let it come across their body if need be. We'll keep going forward here for a little bit. Drops off there, little pressure. There, if you notice, it's a one-touch pass back in the pressure a little bit. This could potentially be that transition moment we just talked about. Immediately, the goalkeeper, I have it paused right now, started to drop off. You can see a 6 sliding in, not only to support for a pass, the other center back is starting to slide in. And although we're up 4v2, we could find ourselves a little danger. Outside back does the goalkeeper a little bit of a favor there. Calms it down again, and now we're shifting again. We look to play through. And we look to play, we're offsides. And here's our third clip from this one. Goalkeeper is immediately going to step up into a space. Can I get it? What are our options here? Love this one because now we've broken a line. I hope everybody can see that. We've now beat this forward line if you can see my cursor. Right now, if the goalkeeper doesn't talk at all, this player doesn't maybe know to turn. Maybe they didn't check their shoulder. Once again, going back to communication. Can they turn the break lines? Paul or Saskia, anything you want to throw in so far?
Yeah, one quick thing there. Goalkeeper, and just beginning that last part of the video, the first part of it actually, after the goalkeeper passed the ball, he went backwards. Why was he moving backwards? Right there. What was he doing? Creating what?
Am I supposed to answer?
No, players. Any keepers? What was the goalkeeper creating by moving backwards?
Space for him.
Space, exactly. And what else?
Love it.
Time.
Einstein, space-time continuum, right? Why is creating time and space important? What does that help you to do?
Build out of the back.
Say again, build. Okay, build out of the back. Go on a little bit more of that, a little more detail if you could. Why is it going to help you build out of the back?
Because then you start possessing more and now you can go and start attacking.
Okay, almost there. By backing up and you're creating space and you're creating time. What are you going to do with that extra space and extra time?
You can find like a better pass. And then when you make that pass, the person who receives the ball has more time.
Brilliant. There you go. Okay, well done, guys.
So we'll let it keep playing here. Great. Thanks, Paul. I wasn't thinking that right now. Look, we have more. There's our space and time. Okay. We decide not to take it. We keep it. That's okay. Goalkeeper still communicating, still moving, looking to break lines. Good pressure defensively here. Good shape. So we've got to go back. This is where we talk about that can't lose focus, can't lose concentration. Here we go. We find ourselves in the same scenario again. We were here 15 seconds ago, but this time, good body shape from our midfielder. We get communication to turn. And now look at this. We've broken 2 lines, 2 passes, and now we've released our forward. All because we have the willingness and ability to go. So, and then obviously I like this idea. So next. Sorry, let me get that out of the way. Let's go back to everything. So before we get our next video going here, we got a little bit of an ad, so I apologize. We'll let that go for a minute. So I'm going to set the stage for everybody. In 2010, I'm sure you all remember it very well. A little bit of bad humor from me there. US was in the World Cup. And this is 2010 World Cup. They're playing Algeria. And they have to win to advance. The way the rest of the results had gone, you have to win to advance. In this moment, this is the 91st minute, and the US has scored a goal, and it's been called offsides. Clint Dempsey has hit 2 posts. Landon Donovan has put 1 wide. The Algerian goalkeeper has stood on his head. And I remember watching this during a camp and losing my mind and thinking, we're about to go to the World Cup. And if you can't tell already from these few moments, I am highly, highly invested in our national teams. It will ruin my day and week. Mm-hmm. So we talk about this transition moment. What's about to happen here is you're going to see a service go in. It's going to be a header, and Tim Howard collects it. He has to have an idea of what he's going to do, because this is one of those moments. It is the 91st minute. We have to score a goal or we go home.
Right.
So
what do you think Tim's thinking? And this is the checklist. Tim is thinking, if I get this ball, this is what I'm doing with it immediately. Because if he pauses on this, if he hasn't assessed what's going on in front of him, if there's no gamesmanship here and he doesn't realize what time is in the game and how desperate this is, he already knows what he wants to do with this ball when he gets it. And that's what I mean by your checklist. You want to be ahead of the game. Go ahead.
So great point.
Yep.
Whoops. Sorry. And let me go back real quick. Jacob, I can see you. So we'll go back here in a second. So before we play it again, Paul or Saskia, anything you want to throw out?
So I love this was a throw as well. But I just want to keep reiterating. Timmy already knows if he gets this ball, what he's going to do with it. Jersey guy, love it. We train together. That's exactly what I would have done. Throw as well, not a kick. If he didn't like roll the ball to himself, you see him run with the ball up. He releases it, boom. And I say this to goalkeepers all the time. We are the first pass on attack. We're not just defenders. And this is exactly what I mean by that. You are the first pass on attack. And he makes a penetrated pass and we score a goal.
Yeah, and to add to that, you can't see it from this angle, but Tim throws a perfect ball. He doesn't throw something high into Donovan's chest, which would be hard for him to handle. He throws a ball that actually bounced right up, so that
it led him.
Yeah, it led him. It was like a quarterback leading a receiver. It was brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant, and just the magnitude of the moment, and to have Tim, like Saskia said, already had his mind made up, knew he was going to do, and then execute it perfectly. Yeah. The result of the goal, was just brilliant.
And it's a great point, Coach, because if he doesn't throw the proper ball, then the 2-touch that he would have had to take to control the ball, boom, the play's done.
Yeah.
Algeria would have recovered. You won't have the break. But because he realized that he had to lead his player, we're on goal. I could watch this all day.
Yeah, me too.
And the big thing too that we want to reiterate here, you'll see in a second, there are 6 Algerian players in the screen. That means with his decision here, he has broken a line of 6 players. And think about it. We've shown you 2 clips, both in possession, with incredibly different scenarios. And that's what we wanted to. We're going to watch one more time, and then we'll get to our third video of the evening. and then we'll get to any questions, because as crazy it is, we're all out of a lot of time, even though I know we.
Yes, it
that
is.
Started
So-
from the keeper.
We'll go back here.
Michael.
Jacob, can still see it. Are you back on? Are we back on the
Yeah,
presentation
that's what we
screen
should
now?
go to.
Okay.
Yeah, we should go to
And
that
we'll-
one.
Yep, and we're gonna go to this one last. And the big thing before we go here, this is from
U14,
a,
by
I
the way.
believe, what was this, Coach Paul? U15 or U16 game?
It's U14, I think.
U14. Okay, sorry, I couldn't remember that. So once again, goalkeeper up high in a U14 game, and we're just gonna let it play here. And look at that distribution. No, he's got space and time. We go back, but as we talked about earlier, our goalkeeper doesn't fall asleep, doesn't go home, doesn't go sit in the goal, doesn't go look for chips and cookies, stays involved here, and now's our release point so that we can play. Head is up, scanning. There's no pressure, evaluating, and now we're going to keep the ball. Drops off to provide depth and support. We look out, and now we're going to look to play out the other side because we have the confidence in the technique. A little bit of a 50-50 there, but we gain possession and we go. Once again, all in a U14 game. Coach Saskia or Paul, anything you
Yeah, I
want to
just
throw in
wanted,
here as I let it
I
run
just
again?
wanted to get to that last slide, if you would, too. The next slide down and show that video. We can just show it real quickly and kind of summarizes everything we've been talking about pretty much. The
Yeah,
different
one?
moments of possession and goalkeeper possession, slide 11. Do you have that one,
Do
Mike?
we have enough time, Paul? That was my only concern.
Yeah, go for 30 seconds with it.
Okay, I got you. Let me get there. Oh, and let this one roll while you're talking. I got you. Sorry, I was thinking of the other video. That's my fault.
No, this is from Tony in England. He had this clip. So just watch what the goalkeeper does here and how the ball moves around. Same thing we're talking about, support, movement. I mean, these clips are all over the internet. It's a great way for you guys to see what we do, what we can do, what we should be doing, and how the technical component is so valuable, so that you can do the proper type of pass. You guys want to ask the keepers, you want to ask us any questions? We got a couple minutes, maybe, or ask Saskia something while she's on. I got 1,000 questions for you, Saskia.
I know you do.
One being, actually, if nobody else is going to ask, let's say, all right, when you're in a game, Saskia, and you've got 50,000 people in the stands, what happens with your communication skills? What do you have to do?
Oh, it's got to be more with your, you've got to use your hands. You know, if somebody's coming back to you and you want a ball in a certain space, you've got to direct them. If they have a ball and, you know, let's say they're facing you, you serve them a ball, you have to use your hands and everything to tell them which direction you want them to go. And I know that tells the other team, but if you do it quick and everything like that, you can still tell the other team off guard because you can't hear. Or you can be really, really loud like I am. And and you probably could hear me, but yeah. So then you have to use your cues.
Cool.
Absolutely.
Keepers, any questions for Saskia?
All right, guys,
You gotta
before we
sort-
let you go here, I just want to get one or two people. Give us something you learned tonight, something that stood out to you, something that you can take into training this week.
All the different transition moments during a game.
So looking at, yeah, from when we go for in possession, we'll take that. What else? Give me something else that we can take from tonight.
Communicating is really important.
Love
And
that,
di-
because in
and direct
possession, there's so
communication.
much that goes with it.
Mhm.
But go ahead, Saskia.
Direct communication. So use your players' names.
Yes, agreed.
Anything else anybody wants to throw out here? All right, guys. Well, we want to thank you so much. Genuinely, it's been a pleasure. We were excited because we knew if we moved things back, we could get Coach Saskia on for the second half, which ultimately we wanted a little bit more of her expertise on the videos. As Coach Paul said at the beginning, it's an absolute pleasure every time I get to work with him, and I'm so glad I've gotten to meet him and learn from him. And every time we're together, he says something, I'm like, why
And
did I
guys,
think of that? I got to start using that.
guys,
So
Coach Paul was my coach, just so you guys know.
Yeah.
So
And it was my honor, believe me. Believe me, it was my honor. And listen, this like we said, tonight's session is just going to carry through into the next sessions coming this month. So build on those, and hopefully as you can be a little more engaged in the next sessions around some of you who didn't say anything tonight, hopefully you can contribute some thoughts of your own going forward. But this month is an extremely extremely valuable part of your lessons as a goalkeeper. So thank you very much for joining us. Saskia, it's always a pleasure. And Mike,
Thanks,
once
you
again,
guys.
I enjoyed working with you.
I'm glad I got to see everybody.
Yeah, me too.
Thanks, guys.